Um, uh, I believe that is Imperial on the blue team and ACOG on the purple team. I'm not certain. I'm rubbish with names. I should just write it down before the game starts who's on which team, but unfortunately haven't. That same Lulu band coming out first. Can you shine some light on which team's which right now? I'm sorry
Captain Plankface is the one that I know, and I know he plays for Imperial.
There we go. So Imperial on the blue team, ABBA on the purple team. Zach coming out as expected right here. So, he's going to be taking out that game. And that could mean that the Shen's actually a bit of a weaker pick, as they did a really good job of playing together right there in that last game. And we're just waiting on the second ban as time ticks down. Nidalee again, so they were happy with their bans last game. They clearly felt that they're all targeted bans to someone that they don't want being played right now. Malphite again being banned. He does a similar job to that Zac. However, his elastic slingshot is about a 7-second cooldown as opposed to the huge cooldown on the Malphite ulti. But they're banning out that crazy engage strength right now, and I think that's a really good call if they wanted to run that poke comp again. Jarvan also being banned again, a huge engage, and Airy actually coming out as the last ban on the other team. So we're not going to see that Airy Fizz lane that I was hoping for.
Well, ABBA have gone for the Zac ban this time. And they've also banned Malphite and Jarvan, so 3 picks with incredible engage power.
Yeah.
That have just been banned out. So they may be going for a poke comp here.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we'd be expecting to see. However, they may surprise us with something. So once we see this first pick from Imperial, we can start to knuckle down on what their team comp is potentially going to be. Maokai again coming out, and
it looks like their jungler just loves that Maokai.
Yeah, they were clearly happy that he did a decent job. Nope, locked in the monkey. So I'm guessing that's a Wukong top. You can play him jungle, however, is very prone to invade, as his clear is slightly dangerous in the fact that his sustain is lacking.
Yeah, the problem with the Wukong jungle really is the lack of CC. For the ganks. I mean, it's the same reason you don't see Shyvana much, and she's designed as a jungler, just as a jungler without CC. Thresh coming down for ABBA, an incredibly strong pick, considered a must. I mean, he is 100% pick or ban rate in I think pretty much across all of the LCSs at the moment.
Yeah, his kit is pretty ridiculous, and Riot don't seem to be doing much to slow that up right now, though there has been rumour of taking away some of his power in the early game.
That was they did say that they wanted to intend that. I mean, but they do recognize Thresh is incredibly strong. I mean, a while back they were talking about doing a Taric rework, and one of the things they said is the problem with Taric is that he's just not as engaging as other champions. I mean, Leona she flies from across the battlefield with Zenith blades and all of that, and then the Lulu's got poke for miles and the wild growth and Thresh.
Yeah.
The whole sentence was just Thresh and Thresh.
Yeah.
One of the problems with Taric is Thresh.
But I mean, Taric fills his place in the League of Legends, and as unenjoyable he may be to play at times, I think that Riot have done a really good job of offering plenty of different kinds of supports in order to play in lots of different styles. The old meta was actually very boring, and now, bot lane can be very, very diverse, and Thresh is one of those that kind of stands there at the forefront of being diverse, deals a lot of damage and a lot of CC, and a great disengage, so really interesting to see him when he's played, which is most of the time. So Shen being picked again here, not too worried about about not having Zac. They didn't play Zac with him last game. They just want to take that off the enemy team right now. And oh no, they did play Shen last game. Sorry, again, someone shoot me. I'm just rubbish with this thing. But
that Shen pick is really strong, and I was quite surprised that they didn't ban it. But I mean, it looks like they went for just sort of respect bans rather than picking the OP champions.
Yeah. I mean, what's really confused me here is the fact that ABBA has banned out their own Zac and the Malphite.
I was surprised at that. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, the ABBA's team scares me an awful lot. I mean, Thresh is incredibly strong. Vayne is the number 180 carry right now. Most people will agree. Shen is, of course, not number one picker ban in the LCS. Amumu is sort of a unique choice in that he is. I mean, he's banned. He's an auto ban in low elo play for a reason.
Yeah, and it's a CC that you can rely heavily on, and the Fizz being waved in front of people's face right now, which would be a sensible pick versus that Kassadin. He can troll stick the silence and then get straight on top of the Kassadin and deal a lot of poke, if not take kills, when he hits that level 6 mark. So
Indeed,
probably going to see this locked in.
And particularly as Kassadin's combo is just sort of an all-in at the same time. If Fizz hits Troll Pole, he dodges almost all of that damage.
Yeah, and he's locked it in right now. So Kassadin actually may have a bit of a tough time in lane. It is looking like a jungle Wukong, and we're going to see how that works out for him. He may have mastered it, may have learnt how to keep sustained enough in that jungle. And to be honest, against the Amumu, while he can deal quite a lot of damage, the deceive means that Amumu's not really got any invade potential onto the Wukong, so he may be able to clear in peace. And then you also mentioned weak ganks, but he might try and rush that level 6 in order to get that knock up and successful ganks.
Wukong's ganks aren't weak, and I made the mistake of saying this on Reddit once and was educated otherwise. The general argument is that Wukong's ganks are not weak, he just lacks CC.
Yeah, and
which in my mind equals a weak gank, but if your teammate has CC, that is, I mean, it's the same thing with Shyvana. If your teammate brings the CC, she is absurd.
Yeah, definitely. And Shyvana's actually being gloated about by the pros in the fact that she is actually incredibly strong right now. I've been playing a lot of Shyvana, and her dragon form now seems to be up almost most of the time when you reach that level 3 ultimate. So she's actually a really great pick. I think within the next month or so, we're going to see a wave of Shyvanas come in after a pro decides to play him in either the Worlds or the qualifiers into it.
Indeed.
Play her, sorry.
So how do you see these team fights coming out?
I mean, ABBA right here has, again, an awful lot of engage. They have the Amumu bandage toss into ultimate. If Thresh manages to land a really good hook, he's going to straight away start a team fight, as well as the Shen flash taunt, if he so wishes. So much engage coming from ABBA. However, on the other hand, they've got a really good counter-engage team here. If the Vladimir gets caught, he's able to pull. If the Ezreal gets caught, he's able to jump right away. If the Wukong gets caught, he's probably just going to pop his ultimate right there, knock everyone up, because ABBA's team relies on everyone jumping into the fight. Vayne's got fairly short range for AD carry. Fizz, obviously a melee AP carry. And then Shen, Amumu and Thresh all relying on being in the middle of the fight in order to do as much as they can. So while I'd favour ABBA with this comp because the champions they've picked are all super strong, I can actually see where Imperial have come from with this comp in order to counter it.
I can see it, but it feels to me more like they're scrambling for a response to what ABBA has done rather than having a coordinated team comp that they're picking.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd have liked to see maybe more of a tanky jungler or a tanky top, someone with a bit of CC slash damage. So, perhaps either like you could have had a Nautilus or a Lee Sin who can peel people away, rather than just a Wukong whose main source of staying alive is to knock everyone in the air and then run away, sort of thing.
Well, they've picked a team that doesn't really need any peeling to be done. I mean, everyone on that team except Leona has their own disengage, and I mean, Leona's there to make sure everybody gets out. The only thing I see is that they need to have the damage that makes disengaging worthwhile.
Yeah, and I think that's going to come down to this mid lane in this game. If you can get a kill or two from roaming as Kassadin, you can actually, start to blow people up very easily when you're starting to stack that Rift Walk. On the other hand, it's exactly the same for a Fizz. If he gets a kill or two, he is the most scary person to play against in the game, because he can literally get into your turret, kill you, and then troll stick to avoid the turret damage in order to get away. So I think it's going to really rely on that mid lane and the ganks that are going to come down on both of them. Wukong obviously going to struggle probably to gank that Fizz with the lack of CC and the troll stick.
Whereas on the other hand, a Mumu coming into mid lane on a Kassadin, if he ganks pre-6, that Kassadin's dead.
Yeah, so hopefully the Leona, or at least the Kassadin, maybe might invest in a couple of wards in order to keep that mid lane safe, and just let him get to that level 6 in order to possibly get a roam and a couple of ganks in order to snowball the game. We're just about loading in right now, so we're going to start to see potential jungle invades. What do you think? Who are looking the stronger candidate for the jungle invade, and what do you expect from it?
Well, I mean, just as a rule of thumb, you invade on an Amumu. And I apologize for the stream right now. I'm switching monitors. I mean, that's just a thing you do. You invade Amumu. So I would be really quite surprised if we didn't see some sort of invade coming down on him.
Yeah. They may be. I mean, I'm always pretty scared against a Thresh at level 1, because the hooks are just incredible. They're even stronger than that Blitzcrank, locking you up for quite a bit longer. And
indeed, and Imperial just does not have a strong invade comp. I mean, Leona's quite good in an invade, but Wukong doesn't have much, Kassadin doesn't have much, Vladimir doesn't have much. I mean, if they all take their escape skills, they can get out of an invade at level 1 really easily, but they don't really have a lot of CC at level 1.
Yeah, I'd expect them to ward up their own jungle and just hopefully wait for another pause coming out right now. And I'm hoping that's just maybe a bug splat or something of someone trying to load in, and not an issue with anything too important. Vladimir, your box is hovering over the chat. So I don't know what's going on quite yet. Game's being resumed again. Brilliant. So buys coming out from both teams. Leona taking the rejuve pendant rather than stacking the wards that I'd have probably liked to see, and Thresh on the other hand actually stacking a lot of wards with a couple of pinks, I think, and 3 green wards. So he's going to actually enable this Amumu to gank where he likes, if Thresh happens to drop a pink in the mid lane, or just keep them off the bot lane and get this Vayne snowballed early on. Blue team heading towards their mid lane, blue bush, purple mimicking on the opposite side. Leona's actually drops a 60-second ward, so they know exactly where this purple team is right now.
Both teams have full vision of each other, and I think, barring a hook out of Thresh that catches someone really far out of position,
30 seconds until minions
I could be wrong.
And
Go ahead.
the Shen has actually been forced to take his taunt right there, which straight away, if the Vladimir plays it right at top lane, means that he's going to be pushed off farm until he hits, manages to get that Vorpal blade. Blue team trying to get across to this a Moo blue as you predicted, and I don't know whether they're just going to ward this or actually sit and take it. Purple team know what's happening right there here, and they're just going to head over towards the blue team's blue, so they're going to mimic each other right here. Vlad's left right now, and Shen's actually heading towards bottom lane, so I think we're going to see a lane switch right now.
That would be an interesting choice for a lane swap. Sending Shen against a Leona Ezreal now is a little risky, if you ask me. Although I haven't done that much, so.
And in my opinion, no, Vlad does a really good job on the top lane himself, with a lot of sustain, especially when he's built Rejuve Pendant and a lot of pots right there. Fizz actually headed up top. You've got the Vayne and the Thresh sitting there versus the Casting. So this Casting is going to be put really far behind, as he's going to struggle to farm at all versus a Thresh and Vayne being a melee champion and all.
Sorry about that. I was fixing. We had a complaint in the chat about the volume. I was just fixing that.
No problem at all. So Ezreal and Leona doing a really good job of stacking these minions in order to get some good early game damage. The Wukong coming in for a gank onto the Thresh. He lands his EQ combo to bring the Thresh down to half HP, and you know, Wukong's level 2 engage, let alone level 3, is notorious for being one of the highest in the game, so a lot of damage. Thresh landing a hook on top of this Castan is just going to mean that this Vayne can land some free harass down on top of him. He's going to have to pot up, and they're going to actually be able to do a lot of damage onto this mid turret, just trying to sustain through this fight. So we see the Fizz and the Vladimir matchup. I think they're just going to want to farm it off right here.
Looks like we got an engage coming down from Wukong. Some damage coming down, but he gets caught by the hook. Condemned into the wall. Decoys, flashes away, followed by a flash to the Vayne and the kill.
Yeah, and that's just the mistake of Wukong. The fact that fine, he's got a lot of damage, but his tankiness is severely lacking. He used that deceive in order to get into the lane. He potentially should have saved it to get out of the engage in case it went wrong.
And dying there, that's going to set Wukong behind, and he just gave a double buff to Vayne. And not just any Vayne, a Vayne that's in a 2v1 lane against a Cassidy.
Yeah,
that is going to hurt.
That's just going to really shut down that Castan, you're right. And he's sitting on 8 CS versus this Vayne's 23. So it's not actually doing as bad as I'd have thought versus the lane. He's managing to get a few CS. However, he did start with basically pots and fairy charm. So straight away, he's been forced to chug through them and effectively chug through his gold. So he's not actually making much ground and making a lot of money.
A lot of damage coming off of Fizz onto Vladimir. Vlad survives, but it looks like the kill may be coming down here. Yep. Double flash is blown, and Fizz secures the kill.
Yeah, and that's a really good job from the Fizz, you know. That separates a good Fizz player and a bad Fizz player, is how much damage you know you can kick out at what point in the game. And the Vlad just overstepped his mark right there. He wasted his full really, and Fizz was able to pick up a kill quite happily right there.
And the blue team looks to be doing their best to push down this turret to shut down the Shen. However, I think Shen is a much stronger solo laner than Kassadin when up against the 2v1 lane swap. If you just look at the CS, Kassadin has 12, Shen has 21.
And that was a brilliant catch from the Shen right there. He taunted to catch the Wukong under the turret and then Then Wukong was just sitting there ready for the Mumu to bandage straight on top of, and yeah, that Wukong's now made 2 mistakes, and it's gonna really prove difficult in this early game for Imperial to do much versus this late game team.
A lot of damage coming down off of both Vayne and Thresh onto that tower. It looks like they may be taking it here. Wukong coming in to try and help, but I don't think he's going to be in time.
And Amumu's actually tried to pick up that kill onto the Kassadin, and we may see the first kill coming down from the blue team. Steve going down, tries to land that last bit of damage on top of the Amumu, though he escapes on the back. 3 HP, something ridiculous, and Vayne's just going to do a really good job warding him up. Vlad comes in to try and pick up the kill on the Amumu. Wukong actually getting the kill and further engage, going down on top of the Wukong for him to get picked up. Sorry, I stumbled over my words there, but in fact, Amumu thought he'd left enough time in order to escape giving the kill to Wukong, and instead fell down to a turret, but
yeah, that
probably didn't count properly.
That was an incredibly ballsy engage. I mean, Amumu was diving past 2 turrets there.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
And as that went down, Ezreal and Leona secured the bottom turret for the blue team, so they're going to pick up a bit of money there. They take the first turret of the game, but already we see a 1.5k deficit in favour of the purple team. Ping's coming down from the Amumu onto the dragon. He's going to want to look to take that, and there's no vision on there, only the single ward on the bottom lane as in fact the blue team had 2 people down there, so there's no real excuse for that. This is trying to secure the blue buff on the blue side for himself. However, Wukong just is forced to smite it, meaning that Kassadin's not going to have that blue buff in the mid lane. It's going to mean that he's probably going to struggle to hold this turret, which is sitting on a few hundred HP right now.
Not getting that blue buff is going to force Kassadin to struggle even harder than he's already been. Engage coming down onto Vladimir off the fizz. Lots of damage. Looks like he's holding the pool until here. Yes, he pulls away. Looks like it might be safe. Red team takes the dragon meanwhile.
Yeah, and that was just the lack of vision, as we said, from the blue lane. They dropped the pink ward, but they didn't have to clear anything. Engage, going down onto mid lane, on the Ezreal and Leona. A great taunt from the Shen into the Thresher, and Amumu just badging up that Leona in order for Vayne to take the double kill right there. They're going to push down onto this mid lane, take this turret easily, and we can potentially see a second turret. What did the blue team do wrong right there? What did Ezreal and Leona do in order to give the purple team such a big advantage right here?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was watching top lane. She's picking up another kill on Vlad there.
And Ezreal at 40 coming in to try and pick up that fizz. He dodges it like a prey. He's not watching his buy screen right now. That's nice to see.
Oh, second turret falling mid lane. That is, I mean, second turret at 9 minutes 40 seconds. That is a pretty dominant thing there.
And the only again here. And that's the problem with when you've got this lack of vision in the early game. It means that you can snowball that vision. He tried to get out there to get a ward into that bush, and instead just walked straight into the whole of the enemy purple team and blown up once again. So that's the second death for Leona, 3 deaths on Vladimir, 1 death on the Ezreal, and 3 deaths on the Wukong. The only kill from their team on the Wukong right now, which is a real problem when he's your jungler.
Just so far a dominant performance coming out of ACOG. Aberystwyth, was it? Then coming down onto the fizz. Make sure he tries to defend the dive with Vlad here, forcing him back to Vlad. Don't get the kill, but they do get the flash.
And Ezreal ulti tries to come in again to take this fizz. However, that was a slight misplay and miscommunication there from the purple team. We haven't actually seen much of that, but the Fizz went in there for the kill. The Wukong's coming around right now, trying to finish off with the Fizz, but the Shen spots him with the ward in that bush. Fizz landing his ultimate on top of Wukong, taking him down to half HP, but I can't see the Shen going in here to pick up the kill.
That was a perfect chum the waters onto Wukong, but he is under tower. Oh, and it looks like Vayne's coming over the wall, running it into it. Lots of damage coming down. And
is she going to chase him? Fizz feigning his troll stick right there, trying to throw out the lantern in order to save him, but it was too late. Blue team trying to catch up to this Vayne right here and defend this turret. A great ultimate from the Leona into her Q, and they're just going to clean it up. More damage coming down on top of the Shen right here. Lantern comes out, but another miscommunication there, and Shen is also killed. So Blue team doing a really good job.
That was a perfect solar flare coming off of Leona there, and the Thresh Lantern. He made the mistake a lot of Threshers make, where they throw it at the person instead of ahead of the person, forgetting that their teammate is going to be running away.
Yeah,
and that they're not going to want to go back in for a lantern.
I don't know whether you saw that, but he managed to hook the Leona in as she was too close, making her take a fair amount of turret damage, and finally finishing her. But he actually managed to escape the rest of the team. So he went 1 for 0 in that trade, and they actually pushed them off the turret as well. So while Blue team did a good job of clearing up after the overcommitment from the purple team, Thresh just holding them off on his own right there.
Thresh is incredibly strong. I mean, there's a reason most professional teams consider him a must-pick or ban.
Yeah, definitely, and he's just doing a really good job of just making his presence known all around the map. Currently on 34 soul stacks, damnation stacks, sorry, and he's just gonna keep that ward pressure deep inside the blue team's jungle, forcing this Leona to probably waste a lot of the money on the pink wards, and she currently has 2 in her inventory. So he's going to be able to snowball that lead on his own, really, getting a early breach side stone, engage, going down on top of the Castellan on bottom lane, and Mumu having to blow his ultimate. However, just didn't have the damage there in order to do anything.
That was a strong hook. They just didn't have the follow-up damage. Engage coming down on bot tower. Lots of damage coming down. Red team looks to be cleaning up quite nicely.
And Castellan actually managed to pick up that kill on Vayne. Bit of a misplay, they didn't quite control the turret as I would have liked to see. Leona trying to lock up this purple team under the turret. The Shen ultimate coming down to stop this Leona from being able to pick up any kills right here.
Indeed, and suddenly that Leona looked very out of position.
Yeah, you know, and sorry, more action coming down here. Fizz is looking to get a kill onto this Leona. However, they do have vision, and Leona's just going to back away. Red buff is up. We may see her. The Fizz takes this away. However, she's just going to take a beat right here.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to walk out and recall.
And is Fizz a female or a male? I still don't know. I can't see any obvious genitalia in the game, so I'm very unaware.
And just taking a look at the vision here for a second. Red team has quite a bit of vision in the blue team's jungle, whereas the blue team has really no vision other than a single ward of Dragon and a couple in their own jungle to try and counter the dominant invading performance that's been going on.
Yeah, definitely, and that's something that, you know, a lot of low-level players underestimate. They'd much rather spend their money on wards, but to have the confidence to spend all that money on wards in order to snowball the game is what separates good teams from bads, really.
Indeed, and that's not something you learn until you play at that higher level, because in solo queue war, people don't watch their mini-map, and so that is a hard skill to learn.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a skill that actually goes across lots and lots of different games. So that's why often the difference between a naturally gifted gamer and a not so gifted gamer is that ability to not tunnel vision. Leona trying to get an engage up there. The purple team just backing off, happily dealing about 4/5 of that turret's damage, and they're just going to run away. Third player going down the top of the vein, a lot of damage going onto her, so she manages to roll away with Marion. Wukong going deep, trying to get on top of that vein, however they're going to turn this fight right now. Caston going very deep right here to try and pick up the vein, and Mumu staying on top, and the Fizz going to pick up the low health of Leona, leaving just the Vladimir and the Ezreal. Mumu again bandaged tossed in, but possibly a bit keen right there. The fight's still going down, and Fizz left on very little health, trying to get outside of this wall, managed to do so successfully. The turret went down. Vladimir tries to pick up the low health Vayne, however fails to do so and has killed himself. Wukong live again, he may get on top of this Vayne, however the Thresh lands a perfect disengage and forces the flash out of Wukong, followed by a great hook. The Deceive going down, however, Oracle's up on Thresh is going to mean that they're going to chase down them. Caston picking up on that Vayne, and they're going to chase down heavily on top of the Shen. Has he got the damage and the taunt to get away from this? Instead he decides to flash, but the Caston follows him up with the ultimate. He now taunts, he's into his own purple team, and Caston's gone too deep, running face first into the Fizz. Is he going to manage to takes him out just in time before the Shen dives? And so, a massive overcommitment from both teams there. Sorry, you were saying.
Indeed, I mean the ABBA made the same mistakes that they made last game a couple of times, or maybe it was just the once, where they went into the base, they did a lot of damage, they killed, they got cocky, and they just stayed too long, and they allowed the blue team to pick up a couple of kills. Now, whether or not Imperial can springboard this enough to come back into the game, I'm not sure. But that does seem to be a weakness that ABBA has, is just they get cocky and they get greedy, they go for kills when they really should have just taken the objectives, taken that inhibitor, and then gotten out. I mean, there were several points in there in which they could have disengaged, walked away with it with, 3 kills and an inhibitor, and instead they tried to stay to get the extra kills and it cost them.
Yep, and this Kassadin's actually built for the late game. He's got the Catalyst and the Tear of the Goddess stacking right now. So he's going to actually get really strong if he's able to finish those 2 items. Fizz just destroying this Vladimir in the top lane as he now sits on 7 kills to 1 and a completed Lich Bane. Wukong coming around to try and engage on top of the Fizz, landing the ultimate and the Soul Flare to shut the Fizz down. Another kill going on top of that Kassadin, and that's going to mean that is going to be able to build a lot more AP pretty soon.
They do seem to be trying to get this Kassadin back into the game. He's sitting at 4 kills, although only 53 CS, which at 20 minutes is a little rough, even for a champion who doesn't farm all that well. It's typically a roaming assassin.
Yeah, and that was just because he wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do in that early game, and only now is he being allowed to. Wukong actually being caught out in this mid lane via Thrash Hook, followed by a Mumu bandage. So Vayne taking another kill. She's now on 11 kills. She's got that Blade of the Ruin King and Infinity Edge up. So she is mightily scary right now.
Indeed, Vayne is one of those hypers carries that if you let her get out of control, turning the game around is very difficult. Mumu, Mummy coming down under the tower, taking damage. Looks like he might almost fall. Shen taunting him to try and save him, but the Rift Walk coming in from Kassadin to finish him off. Shen just backing off, and it looks like they're not chasing him. As Thresh and Vayne are taking the inhibitor in their base.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a calculated risk coming out from the Amumu. He knew that he just wanted to let Amumu, Vayne and Thresh take that mid on him. And that huge amount of damage coming from the Vayne, taking down the Kassadin. However, has he got enough damage to stay alive? No, she's brought down by the Vladimir. Shen's in their base, trying to do a lot of damage onto this Leona right now in order to finish Ezreal's coming across, doing a lot of damage to this Thresh, and the Vlad's going to pick it up with his ultimate. Shen's trying to get out of the base right now after trying to chase down that Leona. Fizz is coming across, so we might be able to see the Shen escape again, to the disappointment of the blue team. But blue team actually aren't doing a bad job of defending this turret right now. Fizz coming across, landing the ultimate
Chum the waters.
and chum the waters, and she's just gonna stick that ignite down on top of the Ezreal, knowing full well that her dot and ignite will clean up the Ezreal. Vlad and Wukong again chasing. We see a lot of chasing this game, and I mean, it's actually doing a lot of damage, giving a lot of kills. Sorry, we got it in the end.
There's a lot of kills coming out of people just being out of position, particularly this Vladimir, who is out by himself, but Viz just walked up to him and killed him. Zenith's Blade coming off his Leona onto the Thresh, not a great target there. She could have been on the Vayne. Damage coming down on Vayne finally, taking him down. Thresh is next on the menu, it looks like. He is going to flash over the wall. Kassadin does have a Rift Walk though, but he is just going to back off and not try and take it.
Yeah, and this Vayne got loads of kills. However, the Kassadin's doing a really good job now of roaming around and picking up.
And that's really what it is going to come down to. If Kassadin can stop Vayne, Kassadin can jump on Vayne and kill her before she has a chance to just decimate his team. They'll have a shot. However, if you just stop a moment and compare the 80 carries build, Ezreal's gone for a Triforce in this first overnight, and now he's just like a brutalizer. He does not have a lot of damage. And his teammates, I mean, it looks like they're going to be relying mostly on Kassadin for damage.
Red team has slain the dragon.
And that's just, when you have a Vayne on the other team, just pouring out damage like a fire hose, coupled with a Fizz who is just picking off your damage dealers, that's not a recipe for success, I think.
No, not at all. And I think, you know, that brutalizer is typical of the blue Ezreal build with a cooldown reduction. However, when you don't need it, it's not that valuable item. Leona getting caught there by a great Thresh hook again. He's been on form all game and proving why Thresh is such a valuable pick in team fights, in teams, across competitive play. I mean, we're going in with the Curse of Saturn, maybe catching out the Wukong, a big engagement coming down from the blue team, from the purple team right here. Kassadin just falling, moving, popping his Zhonya's and baiting out that Wukong to waste his ultimate there, leaving Ezreal to defend this base, and only 4 seconds to the Leona coming up, but then followed by a 20-second death timer on the Kassadin, so they might actually be able to take a couple of turrets right here.
Yeah, I do think that, I mean, the blue team hasn't been making that many mechanical errors, but the red team has just had a much stronger game plan. Sending that Vayne mid meant she could get fed and they could shut down the one person that Vayne had to be afraid of.
Yeah, and Engage coming down now from Kassadin, gets blown up straight away by the Vayne. Vayne taking the initiative just to sit forward and ward off these engages while his team clears up the turrets. The Vladimir also dropping while chasing that Thresh. Vayne's going to try and deal enough damage to the Ezreal to kill him, however, going to fail. They're just going to try and take this Nexus right now. Leona trying to throw out Q in order to get on top, but the damage is just too great on top of the Nexus with about 2 or 3 super minions, and that's a game to Aberystwyth and the best of 3 right there. So where did Imperial fail? What was the issue? I mean, you just mentioned the game plan.
I think the game plan, I mean, that was just a dominant performance coming out of Aberystwyth. But I think the key thing that we can sort of point to there is the game plan. They just had such a strong game plan where they sent Vayne and Thresh to just completely shut down. Just had such an incident, and there was just so little he could do about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know whether we're casting any more games tonight. Are you aware?
I think there was talk about us doing a second set. I'm not sure.
Second best of
I
three.
got a
Okay.
message from someone saying something.
Okay.
Yeah, Manchester message saying Manchester beat Cardiff. I'm assuming this is league and not football.
Yep.
Next game should start shortly. You'll be casting Cardiff versus Imperial.
Yep, and that's the third and fourth place match, I believe.
Indeed.
But all of these teams really showing a decent level between them, and I think we're going to actually see a really good game between Cardiff and Imperial. While I haven't seen Cardiff play, I don't think in the last couple of weeks of casting, they're all have made it somehow into the final right now, so they must all be pretty competent teams.
Yeah, indeed. Just one last thing about that last game. I pulled up the damage dealt the champions in a graph form. It's on the stream right now. And Vayne dealt almost double the damage of any other champion in that game. And I think that really tells the story there. They sent the Vayne mid, they shut down the one person who she should be afraid of, and that was it.
Ban Vayne, guys. Ban Vayne. Yeah.
If I get the chance, I mean, I have started banning Vayne. She is just so incredibly strong.
Yeah.
And people, I mean, she didn't get any changes. People just figured out how to play her, and all of the other powerful AD carries that sort of countered her received nerfs. And so she is currently sitting on top of the pile.
So Invalic's coming down now from